Hello and welcome to the part of NASDAQ private market. This is the part that I want you all to pay a focal attention. It's important to understand how things come together and more importantly, how we plan to again help you out. But before I start, I want to share again my screen with you so you can get the visual observation of what we are talking about here and put it in here for you for your viewing pleasure, and then we talk about it. So, as you probably know, with the numbers that we had, if we wanted to go into a lower stock market, such as OTC or Pink or QB or QX and so forth, stocks would have been extremely volatile. Revenue and the stream of the company that we are trying to build would not have been there. So therefore, the stocks that we would have been providing, much what happened in the past, becomes a victim of naked shorters or the day traders, and they hurt the company accordingly. So this becomes extremely important that we understand that our goal and objective again is to preserve the company, preserve its value, and at the same time help the stockholders to create liquidity. So for many years, all of you, most of you, asked me a series of questions that you are interested in selling your shares and you want to liquidate or you want to purchase more or you want to trade more, but you want to be in charge of that. That is one of the reasons that we originally formed Maxwell Rand in Switzerland. And then after we sold off and downsized during the market crash, and now that we are working with the financial intermediaries in these services, we are happy that we are building the same journey that we envisioned decades ago back to now with the changes that has happened to the market and the industry. So with the revival of Maxwell Rand and its structure and cleansing the operations that we end up doing over the last few years, including NETSTAIRS and Maxwell Rand, our trash shareholders now are the value shareholders of MetaXchange. The shares that right now are being offered and sold in the market is either through Nasdaq Private Market, common shares, what is known as secondary, and we have a Reg A Plus Tier 2 offering at $50 a share on a convertible preferred at $50 that we have secured about 15 million through syndicated legal and their team out in Beverly Hills, and we now have the balance of $60 million that we are actively seeking to bring investors. So one of the areas that I looked at was how do we create this value. So we are starting with our NETSTAIRS and Maxwell Rand shareholders because they are the oldest by definition in our record, in our ledgers and every transaction, even during the conversion process. So we want to give that opportunity to everyone. The way it works is relatively easy, but first, before I go into the screen shares and so forth, I want to talk about my agenda, which is how to sign up, KYC and AML, that has to come from you. The platform asks you to upload picture IDs, for example, your facial recognition, and other instruments, especially if you are a non-US citizen. So KYC and AML is very important when you sign up. Then, if you recall, last month we were able to get the transfer agent to issue the statements and send it to everyone. So subsequently, we were able to, sorry for the typo in here, upload the transfer agent statements and then save. Please save your user ID and a password after you do this. This is extremely important because then you will not be able to get access to your NASDAQ private market terminal. So with that kind of a setting, first thing we want to do is go to a setup. So let's take a look at it. First of all, in NASDAQ, I'm taking you to the tabs and pages in here because I want you to see what we are going through. As you can see under NASDAQ.com, publishers, NASDAQ private market is actually outgrowing the global market by sheer size and by sheer liquidity. So NASDAQ private market, in my view, would have been about 2 years from now bigger than NASDAQ global, but not NASDAQ private market has proven for two reasons. There is a market volatility right now in NASDAQ global because of uncertainty in the marketplace. So stocks all of a sudden drop 1,000 points and then everybody's value goes down. But with NASDAQ private market, one of the things that has happened is if you look at the companies that are listed in here, which made of 250 unicorns, these entities are all into billions. They all have decided, such as OpenAI, such as SpaceX, Ramp, etc., Arctic Wolf, that they are listed on Nasdaq Private Market. Now, I want to remind you, this is not open to everybody. You have to go through months of due diligence, process, approval in order to become a Nasdaq Private Market listed company. This is where we spend most of our last November 2024 all the way till April 15, 2025 to go through this journey and get listed with Nasdaq Private Market. This is a privilege because they love us, they appreciate us, they are watching us, and we are growing the business based on management's by objective and finding ways that we can accelerate the growth and at the same time increase the value to our stakeholders. So that is why it is designed for our employees, for our investors to become listed or to be able to sell off their shares. This is called direct. So when you go here and you see that as I'm going down in here and showing you secondary trading platform, this trading platform right now is basically established for you that you can directly sell, auction your shares. Okay. Now, those of you who were asking me how do I go into liquidity, Nasdaq Private Market is the way under the law, under compliance, under regulation that you can sell your shares directly to the investors. Now, these investors can be by invitation through your contacts, through your friends, or through your business colleagues, or it can be solicited through your sources, but it is called direct. So, this is a DIY. But more importantly, when the companies come to this kind of situation, they have the ability to provide that kind of liquidity that we were talking about. So I am sharing this information that I'm with you through this acquisition and so forth that you can see we have built in here a series of links. Every one of these links can give you access to the information along with the awards that we have won. But more importantly, for you to understand and appreciate that our position between now till probably what we call pre-IPO stage will be sitting at Nasdaq Private Market until we are ready with the 100 million IPO filings, which we believe that will happen in 2027. So the way that we believe that we are going to go forward is we will be continuing adding additional acquisitions to our pipe, and that locomotive is going to get larger and larger, and the numbers are going to get consolidated. Within that consolidated financial statements, then we have talked and interviewed personally myself with different institutions such as Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Raymond James, and they all have given us different ladder in our IPO and registration. Some they like to see us at the 40 million. For example, when we get to $40 million, we will be offering something that we will be talking about. Is called auction, and through this arrangement, this is voluntarily, but we will talk about it in a more descriptive format so you can appreciate and understand. So the way that is going to be is I will be sending you a link to this sign up through the investor. So when you go in here and you will sign up, you will have to obviously go through all of these processes yourself. So you will be signing up, let's say, with your email account as an example. So when you come here, it'll ask you for your name, password, and you sign up, right? In my case, I will use dark so it makes it easily, visually much better for you so you can take a look at it. But if you're light sensitive or dark sensitive, you can change that. In my case, I have already logged in and I have gone through the process, so I cannot go and become a person. So to do that, I'm going to go to the login page and I'm going to go as a Moradi MXCG in here. And by keeping me signed in and logging in here, it'll send me a signal to my phone that I will receive the SMS code. And when I receive my SMS code, so I'm doing everything in real time for you so you can appreciate and understand that when I am doing this screen share with you, I'm using my phone, placing the variable that it comes to me. And by placing that, the system allows me to place my password. And with that setting, I am getting to NASDAQ private market. Now, in here, there are a series of services available that we are exploring and exploring. For example, manage your wealth and confidence. We are working with Quotient Wealth Partners, for instance. These guys have been introduced to us by wealth managers from NASDAQ Private Market. I am dealing with Mr. Jonathan Blumenthal, which is the co-founder, co-CEO of the company, and along with that, working with his compadres and friends that they're all part of this relationship and equation, such as Mr. Tim Harder, that is the chief investment officers, and some of the other colleagues in here that we have met as a managing director, such as Jeff Ramsey, chief compliance officer, and we have been introduced to Bank of New York, to they call it BNY. We have been introduced to um, Goldman Sachs and to Pershing, and we are talking to them about the wealth management that we were just talking about in here. So this is normally for individuals that they have over 5 million and up, okay, in investment. So one of the things we looked at it was that there is a threshold of 5 million and up and 5 million down. And then if you notice in here, welcome to the Meta Exchange AI market. Okay, when we are doing this kind of thing, then you can see that when we want to sell our shares, there is a button in here, sell your shares, and then you can go into more shares by matching the buyers, and then you get paid. This process is done through NASDAQ private market. So if I decide that I want to sell my own shares, I can sell my shares directly and it becomes a 30-day cycle. So you can always renew your cycle till you find the right buyer. Now, what happens here? Let's talk about it for a few minutes. First of all, there are two signatures required: NASDAQ Private Market and the corporation, Meta Exchange Management, or the board of directors. The way that it goes is no shares can be sold less than $10. We will not allow it, or based on last paid consideration. So if the stocks are going higher, we will not allow you to discount it and compromise everybody else's earning. So therefore, when you auction it, you got to auction it at the current rate, and then you participate in that. There are two kind of accounts, and I want my stockholders to know this is extremely important. Individual accounts are different than the corporate accounts. The corporate accounts require additional paperwork, not by me, but by NASDAQ Private Market. They want to make sure that you are protected. They want to make sure that electronically your account is connected to your bank, because when the transaction takes place and you ultimately be able to move, and you have a buyer on the other side of the equation and you have a seller on this side of the equation, that gives you the ability to essentially provide the capabilities that we are talking in here. So therefore, under this program that you sign up, you can go through the KYC and AML. One of the things that takes place in here is that you have to provide the proof of ownership. And that is when I sent you last month a statement. Some of you did not really understand or send me email. They said, my shares do not match to these shares. And I wanted to bring this out again back to your attention and educate you once more, to let you know that assuming if you had, for example, 1,000 shares of NETSTAIRS at $6 per share, which was the last paid consideration of our situation, you have a value of $6,000 US dollars. Okay. So this is the value. We are not doing share per share exchange under the tax free. We are doing the value. So MXCG shares, for example, are at $10. So if you take the 6,000 and divide it by $10, then you have technically 600 shares of Meta Exchange. That's how it works. So please be rest assured that we took the value of your shares and then applied it to those. And the same thing that we did with Meta Exchange at the $10. So the unit of exchange became the value of the pricing that it was presented and it was filed. And effective August 23rd, I was able to proceed and do the first transaction for the buyer and seller under KYC and AML. Meanwhile, I was able to approve two institutions, myself as a person, shareholder, so I can go through this pain point that I'm explaining to you, and also through Maxwell Rand Pipe, that it took us a few months, but we are happy to announce that our Maxwell Rand Pipe now can buy shares and can trade shares and can sell shares. Okay, so this becomes an extremely valuable commodity that we have available to us. So I just wanted you to understand that your holdings will be up here. For example, when you come here, if there are no holding, then you need to add your holdings. How do you add that? By selecting where you have common shares. In your case, you have common shares. Okay. So when you click on it, then it asks you for the class. Then you put your quantity in here. And if your quantity based on the statement that you have received is, for example, 30,000 shares, as an example, and your cost basis for example, was $2, then you put it in here, and then you need to upload your statement for the proof of ownership. So you see, proof of ownership. So you can convert it into a PDF that you receive from the bank, from your transfer agent, or JPEG or MNG, and then you can put your certificate number here, and then that becomes verified. Okay, at this moment, I don't want to do this because of the holding and I don't have the statement available for me. But just generally speaking, this is how it goes, that you can go and download your file and be able to say, okay, we have this much holdings, and then you use that and upload the PDF file here, and that becomes part of your holding. So this ultimately, your holding is where you can hold one shares or a syndicate of shares, what we call basket. So you may buy other shares, let's say OpenAI or SpaceX or any of these companies, and then you can build it in here. So our objective is in here under Nasdaq compliance that you see on the second market, for example. And if you click in here, I'm going to say discard, and then I come here, then I can basically now go into uh, orders, opportunities. Like for example, when I look at the opportunities, I can go to the AI market here and seek out what we can do, like invited programs, general matches, agreements. So now what is happening here is that Nasdaq Private Market becomes your intermediary through Nasdaq Private Market Securities. When a buyer wants to place and buy your shares, either direct or through auction or syndication, uh, the funds goes to Nasdaq Private Market. Nasdaq Private Market charges 1% for transaction fee, and then receives that and basically becomes the medium of exchange, that it takes your shares, a block of your shares, piece of your shares, or all of your shares, and sell it off and transfer that money less than 1% to your bank account. All of these things are done in here. And if you decide to become a buyer, for example, then you can come here and say, I'm the investor mode. But if you have not gone through approval, like you see, I can only sell in here. Okay, I cannot be an investor because it is giving me the restriction. So therefore, I can go and basically look at what else I can buy. So if I like other opportunities for my own account that I want to add, I can add to my watch list here. That is one of the reasons that I wanted to share this information with you, to give you a general idea that how the filters and everything else works. And then if you need to talk to a specialist, also there is a number here, but you simply have a buy and a sell button. Now, I want to reinstate, this is a very liquid market, because if you come to look at some of the other places, like NASDAQ private market stocks under Forge, there are other platforms that allows you to register and sell your shares to others. For example, you have ARK Invest, okay, that they can participate. You can do Hive, okay, in the marketplace to sell your private stocks. So you are not limited only to Nasdaq private market individually that you can sell your shares, but you can go into a pre-IPO, because we are a pre-IPO. But in our situation, a self-directed IRA, like in United States, an investor can take from their saving account or from their retirement account and invest in us and put those shares without losing the value of their 401k. These are all designed to preserve and provide opportunities where through NASDAQ private market and NASDAQ listing that you're looking at it in here, we can establish the protocol and the requirements that you can see as we were going forward, right? So I want again everybody to appreciate and understand that I had to spend months and months and months of work behind the scene to become one of the 400 listed companies in this organization. So this is a private club. This is not for everybody because only accredited investors and institutional investors are the ones that they are allowed to participate. So if tomorrow, for example, you want to buy Stripe shares or a SpaceX, you cannot just go to the open market buy it. You have to become part of this institutional investor or accredited investors. So therefore, they can assist you and they can let you buy or sell this kind of shares and add it to your portfolio. So I want to make that very available, you know, to you, and more importantly, make you understand that one of the things that we are doing right now is setting you free now. So you, as Meta Exchange shareholders, you will have the ability to log in through your own registration and be able to connect and to basically get the copy of your transfer agent shares that you have already received, right? And then please, please, I'm reminding you again to save your user ID and a password so you don't lose it. If you lose it, you can send a request a password, but why waste time and be able to do that? And then ultimately, you reach to that terminal that I just mentioned to you. This is what we call NPM terminal. That is under your name, okay? It's under your holding. You only have access to this, and you have only the ability to sell all of your shares, part of your shares, and everything else by simply following the instructions. So, with that in mind, I want to say that we are literally are done with the protocol of questions that has been brought up through our NASDAQ, NETSTAIRS, and Maxwell Rand shareholders over the years that how do I sell? And as I mentioned to you from the date when we went April 15th uh, on Nasdaq Private Market as a listed company until today. That now we are giving you the opportunity, we are giving you the action, we are giving you the access to the platform, and you can basically register and upload your stocks and sell it directly yourself. Now, the other part that I will be talking about is optional. This optional is where we are going to spend another video, explain to you what it means, what you can do with it, and how you can benefit from our effort. But these are paid services, so they are not free. And these paid services gives you privileges versus DIY. DIY is do it yourself. Paid services are the ones that we are going to hire, to bring, to establish, create the awareness so we can increase the volume. But there are rules of engagement, requirements, policies, guidelines, and procedures that we have to follow. So, with that in mind, I want to again thank you for watching this part and we'll be following with the next session.